The hockey team gamely fought back to tie the Dallas series. The Vikings drafted a Wake Forest running back who runs like the wind, and the Timberwolves pushed through the emotional loss of Dante DiVincenzo to impressively take a 3-1 lead in their opening round series against the Denver Nuggets, and that's where we begin. Good morning. Joining us now from the Rocky Mountain region is Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch, thanks to Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org, along with Prize Picks. Coach, when Dante went down, did you immediately know it most likely was a big problem because the non-contact nature and those types of injuries are just never good?
Hey, good morning, PA.
Good morning.
Yeah, we kind of all knew. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. The only thing that was a little confusing to me, Dante was, you could see the look in his eyes. He was wondering what happened, and we all saw that he went down with nobody around him, and the way that he went down, it was pretty indicative of an Achilles from what we've unfortunately become all too accustomed to in the league now. But it was a little confusing. He kind of waved. I didn't know if he was waving for me to not call the timeout, that he was going to be okay to get up, or to call the timeout. And then obviously it was clear that he wasn't able to get up and move at all. So we're just heartbroken for Dante, and obviously losing Anthony later on in the game was a double blow. But our guys, all credit to our guys, they were able to rally, hang tight, just get to the halftime where we could regroup a little bit, tactically and emotionally, and focus on what we needed to do in the second half.
And Chris, with DiVincenzo, I mean, obviously you can't dwell, but you can still feel sadness for the individual. What a series he was having. I mean, no matter if things were good or bad, he just kept trying hard and coming through. Was the mood of the gang sullen when you got together at halftime?
Very much so. Yeah, I think very much so. I think, kind of by that point, and, everyone had realized what happened, and kind of, the totality of it all. But I think some, guys were able to see him, be able to kind of just lay eyes on him, talk to him, give him the words of encouragement, a little piece of mini closure in the game when a lot of other things are flying around out there. So I think that's one thing that's on your mind, is you're always, it's hard to be present when something like that goes on, whether you're coaching or playing, because you want to know what the situation is. It's kind of just have certainty over it and be able to have a little bit of closure in the moment, So, we love Dante. So much of this season has been about trying to get the best version of him, and he delivered. Putting him in the starting lineup. There was a huge stretches of the season where he was our best plus-minus player, and then he was put a massive plus-minus differentials, and that only happens, PA, when you're doing everything on the floor, and you're making all the little plays, and you're playing defense, and of course the team is benefiting from you offensively, but it could be you're sparking or transition, you just simple things like throwing the ball ahead for guys to get easy points, and not always about the scoring that you do. In fact, we often see some of the best scorers in the league not have the best plus minuses. So Dante had a complete season for us in every way, and it's just such a shame. But one thing we know about him is he's built for it. He never skips steps as a player. He's the ultimate pro. He puts the work in, and that's the way he'll attack his rehab. And Tatum has proven to be an inspiration and an incredible role model in this situation. And the blueprint is there. And while you're not going to rush anything, you can gain confidence from watching what your contemporaries are doing and what they're able to do in modern orthopedic medicine it's just incredible these days. So.
Amen, man. That was beautiful, Chris. Thank you. For now, from injury to impact, Ayo Dosunmu gave us one of the most memorable playoff games in team history. Is this young man just having the time of his life?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I know when he came here, he was excited to get back to playing the meaningful basketball for a team that's trying to win at a high level. You know, I hadn't really experienced that in the way that we're doing so here, or way we're set up to try to do so here. And he came in, and I think that was one of the things we talked about early. He was very excited about, playing in the playoffs. His last playoff experience was as a rookie, which he fared well, but it's not the same, when you're, coming into a team and playing the rivals like we are, and what we're trying to do for the long term here. So, and I felt that he would grow into the series, and that's exactly how it's played out. And he was magical, and he's just been such an amazing addition for us in so many ways, on court, off the court, and I was happy to see. So.
And as you guys go tonight, up 3-1 in the series, this one is somewhere after 9:30 on KFAN. I mean, shoot, from a tactical standpoint, that they actually might start slapping doubles on him tonight, right? Because the 43 came from all over the place. Are you envisioning that approach by Denver, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, we're ready for that. We're anticipating all kinds of things, when you're down guys, and they can now target different people to double or to whatever they want to do against them. I'm not sure how it'll play out, but we'll definitely prepare our guys for all those scenarios. I think just as big as Game 4 for Iowa, Game 3 was also really big for Iowa. I mean, he put up good numbers, but he had so many timely baskets there. And he would make a cut opposite penetration, lay it in, maybe right in the middle of the run. So he's put a couple big games together. He can score, on and off the ball, which makes him dangerous. And it's hard to double guys when they don't have the ball, and if they're still a threat,
yep,
that makes him a weapon.
Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves from Denver, Colorado. Shortly after 9:30 tonight on KFAN, it's the Wolves and the Nuggets. And Chris has joined a 9 to noon weekly for years, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and a Prize Pick. So from injury to impact, back to injury, what a buzzkill for Anthony Edwards. Holy cow. I mean, so you're going to need to win the series without him. How's everybody handling that piece of bad fortune?
Yeah, again, it's a bit of a shot in the gut for us, just because Anthony had worked so hard to get back, and he was, for the first time, I think, not even listed on the injury report going into that game, and he'd done an incredible job to kind of get back and start to feel a little bit more like himself. He still needed to kind of get in game shape and all, but. And, you knew it was coming, and we were anticipating some really big games from him coming down the stretch of this series. So, but right now we're just relieved, PA, because the incident looked pretty nasty, and he's such an incredible athlete like that. He's able to survive something like that. If that were you and I, our leg would be in pieces down there. So. But I think right now we're more relieved. We feel obviously feel sorry for him, but we're gonna have to try to regroup again. And we do know that if we can keep extending this playoff series, that he is going to come back, and he generally comes back ahead of timeline. Like, he just puts the work in. He's super dedicated there, and he's in really good spirits, all things considered, and so that's good. But yeah, it was a tough one to watch.
I mean, off what you said, Chris, let's be real. If it were you and I, Micah would be calling Box and One tonight and doing the 9 to noon radio show today and tomorrow for a little supplemental income, Micah Norin. Hey, so with Anthony and Dante down, how much 3-point shooting do you lose, sans those two, and how does one work around that?
Well, we lose a lot, and we lose not only the shooting, we lose the threat of the shooting. But we need guys to step up. Mike Conley's been shooting the lights out down the stretch of the season here. We know Io. We just talked about that. We'll have Nas. Hasn't really found his rhythm yet, but we know this is a weapon he can be. So, and then there's other ways to attack too, and so we won't just put up threes just for the sake of putting up threes. Again, when you lose your best players, oftentimes having been through this in the G League, when your best players are always called up, you never can replace them straight up. And trying to replace them straight up doesn't even make sense. You got to go about it a different way. You got to kind of rejig things, reinvent yourself on the fly, but stay true to your philosophy and your identity. And that's what we'll do.
Rudimentary or simplistic as it may sound, I mean, without Anthony and Dante, holy cow. I mean, Julius, Rudy, Nas, and McDaniels to a certain extent have beaten them up so much inside the paint that, I mean, do you think they'll play a lot of zone tonight and just be like, here, kitty, go ahead and shoot those threes if you want. And if you start making them, they'll adjust. I mean, is that too simplistic?
No, not at all. I mean, they've started mixing in more and more zone. We saw quite a bit of it in Game 3 at the end and more of it throughout Game 4. It does give them a way to try to hide some matchups and things that they are trying to stay away from defensively. So, but it's important for us to, keep playing the defense that we've been playing, get out in transition, try and convert as early as we possibly can. And, we'll definitely have to be ready for that zone. And, we'll have some answers.
And back to Saturday for a second. When you saw Joker charging at Jaden right at the end of the game, did it look like some monster emerging from the abyss? I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and McDaniels kept his cool, which was super key. What was your read on the whole deal?
Well, honestly, I thought the game I thought the clock had expired. I'd already started walking off, so my back was to it all when it actually started to unfold. So I did, but looking at it in replay, thankfully it didn't get out of hand. I would just say this, much has been said about the unwritten rules of this or that or the other thing, or, I mean, we can have that discussion for a later date. I'm not an unwritten rules guy. They always usually seem to be applied when, somebody's hard done by. But the reality is this, I'm not mad at Jaden for what he did, and I'm not even mad at Jokic for what he did. It's two competitive people going at it in the arena of a competitive sport. And isn't that what we want? Don't we want the emotion and the passion and the competitive nature of our best players at the time it matters most? I mean, both guys have a high care. I'd say this, if they were teammates, they would love each other. I know that. So it's something about nothing to me. I thought the league did a great job of adjudicating it, and we move on and we play a really important game tonight.
Amen. We're in lockstep with that. Just a few to close here for Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Director of Security, Tony Adams. He had some MVP to him during that fracas, and I know you've watched it a bunch of times. He got Julius out of the mix, and Randall was malice at the palace mad. Did you see that key move by Tony?
Yeah, I think not Tony and Tim Conley, president of basketball operations, was in there trying to get between Julius and whatever damage he was planning on doing. But Tony did a good job. Mostly worried about, I think, damaging his rotator cuff for this upcoming golf season. So he did a good job of staying clean of any injuries there.
Rudy is still bursting with confidence and obviously is helping a ton. The 6 for 19 from the line the last three, I mean, obviously that needs to change. How does one improve on that number? Because they're going to go to hacking him.
Yeah. Well, yes, I think, for Rudy, it's his mindset. I think he's got to get there with a calm mindset. And we've seen him make big free throws in big situations. and we know that he can do that. And so we have every confidence in him being able to step up and make it when it matters. But he's just got to go there with a clean mind.
Any chance you play Ayo the whole game tonight? I mean, he's
no chance.
Oh, I bet you can handle it. Tell me you can't handle it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just he certainly can handle it. He's a high level athlete in every way, but we're gonna have to give him a break if we want him to be the guy we need him.
Last one. Denver ran out of gas again Saturday night, just huffing and puffing when it mattered. Is there a certain way to play to get them to that condition of immense fatigue?
Well, you got to bring pressure on every opportunity that you possibly can, up the floor, fight them in all the little things, go to the offensive blast, play in transition, be physical with your screening. That's playoff basketball, regardless of whether you're playing Denver or anybody else. I think that's what you have to do in this time of year. Admittedly, it's really hard to do for 82 sometimes. Like, not everybody has the same level of gas in the gas tank every single night. But, right now, with the way that they pace the playoffs and what's at stake and who's out there playing, it's a lot easier to get to that.
It's obviously a tricky one tonight. Can't wait to watch it, see how you manipulate things with the lineups. Thank you very much for the time, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, thank you, PA. Take care.
Yep, see you, Chris. Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tonight, shortly after 9:30 on KFAN, it's the Wolves and the Denver Nuggets. It is Game 5 of this opening round series. That was courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and Prize Picks. And courtesy of Northern Fire, it is now post time for the weekend wrap.
Thank you, Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply, for bringing us, at least for another week or two, the weekend wrap. And they just want to give thanks to all their customers who made their Customer Appreciation Day on Saturday a blowout bash of a day. Weather held up, the food was good, the people were good, and it was an awesome party. So thanks to all of Northern Fire's customers for that. We heard from the Hoops. Now, Game 5, 9:30 p.m.-ish tonight. Thanks to Chris Finch for joining. So we covered most of the notes. After that fracas, that dust-up, Jaden McDaniel's still probably just wearing that wry smile, but Jokic was fined $50K. Julius Randle, malice at the palace, mad as he was fined $35,000. You guys did cover it early on in the chat with the coach, too, that sadly Dante DiVincenzo early in Game 4 suffers an Achilles injury. His season is over. And now we're kind of on the watch. How quickly does Anthony Edwards heal? With the idea that the Wolves were able to win this series and move on, Ant, with this hyperextension and this bone bruise, he's going to be on the shelf. I saw Shams reporting it could be multiple weeks. Could it be 2 weeks? Could it be 4? Clearly a blow to the locker room of the Minnesota Timberwolves, but he's on rehab watch right now. So best of luck to Ant. Hopefully he is back soon. Hey, the Minnesota Wild had a game too.
Battle here over the left shoulder of Ottinger. Boldy trying to stab it free. Bumped by Myers again. Racing to a Kaprizov. Up high for Spurgeon. Spurgeon, a shot. They score! Matt Boldy tips it in! Matt Boldy wins it in overtime! The Wild win Game 4, 3-2, and we've got a series! It's all knotted up at 2 apiece! Oh, what a goal!
What a goal by Matt Boldy. It took overtime to do it, breaking the 2-2 tie. But the series is now tied at 2-2. Kind of framing this thing up, we're going to have Mick Tockett, Pat Mick2626, Mr. Micheletti on the show today, and we're going to chat more about it. It's just another game of, hey, Dallas gets power plays, and they score goals. Hey, the Wild get power plays. They do not score goals.
And amazingly, this thing's at 2-2.
Amazingly, it is at 2-2. And Dallas was 2 of 2 with the man advantage. Robertson and then Heiskanen in each case giving the Dallas Stars a 1-0 and then a 2-1 lead. 0 for 4 on the power play for our favorite team.
Wow.
It took Faber doing his thing, and then Moose. How about Moose just Marcus Foligno just going over the back, legally, of course, as Ottinger was sprawling, but it was just complete chaos in the crease, and he jams that thing home to tie it up. You heard the game winner from Boldy. The entire overtime frame. At one point, he kicked one in. I think it was just instinctual. But Boldy had so many chances in overtime. It was just almost like a personal mission of his to find his way to the tally, and he did in the biggest spot, the tip off a Spurgeon shot.
The Stars have had 19 power plays this series. 19 power plays through
4 games.
Yeah, through 12 periods. 8 goals from the 19. They haven't scored a goal 5-on-5 in like 147 minutes.
Wow. So
Foligno, I mean, you talk about profit for profit. Into the series, he's like, they can't hang with us after the first game. They can't hang with us 5-on-5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're making it easy for them but that's like 142, 147 minutes for the Stars, sans a 5-on-5 goal.
Yeah, and it's still frustrating too, because in all the and we're loving that the team tied it up, and we're also loving, by the way, we can soak into our couches tonight, focus on the Wolves. Tomorrow night is Game 5 in Dallas, Wild and Stars.
Yep.
But amidst all the glory of winning Game 4, is Zuccarello still the thing that is causing this power play malaise? Is that still a thing? I think he was close to go, couldn't go. Trenyon was ruled out much more quickly into Game 4, so their health status remains something that we are watching. And but in the end, again, this was, I think it broke like a 23-game stretch, just kind of gravy training, something Russo posted on X. It was like 23 straight Wild playoff games where the team that had scored first won the game. So we battled back in Game 3. We get to OT, can't get over the hump. We battled back in Game 4, and we find our way to victory. Digging that, and digging the opportunity the Wild have to recontrol this series with a win mañana. And finally, in the weekend wrap, well, oh, by the way, Avs swept Kings. The Mammoth are up 2-1 with Game 4 tonight over Vegas. Anaheim, there was this, I didn't see it, so apparently a wonky OT goal that the refs allowed. Ducks up 3-1 on the Oil, and so that's where the rest of your Western Conference sits. OKC about to sweep Phoenix in the NBA. Lakers did not get over the hump on Houston. Houston avoids elimination. They're down 3-1. Spurs up 3-1 on Portland as well. But finally, Minnesota Twins were swept by the Rays after being loafed by the Mets. 5 straight L's, 9 of their last 10. Twins hosting Seattle. Luis Castillo, kind of a tough start to the season for him, but for the M's, but he'll be up against Connor Prelip this evening at Target Field. Connor Prelip.
Connor Prelip, you say?
Connor Prelip.
Do you think there'll be a game tonight? I mean, we got rain. I mean,
we do. Do we have significant? Yeah, I'm awful with weather reports because I will not.
I'm out of my lane even going. I mean, I'm not Paul Douglas. I'm Paul Allen.
Oh, wow. We're raining most of the day, aren't we?
It just feels like most of the day.
Oh, it's good to know that. I usually check the weather into the third break, which is when I have to give a weather report. So it might be rainy. They might have to postpone it. We shall see.
Feel it.
The other significant event that took place over the weekend, though, on the positive side, which leads us to a pause and leads us to next segment, days 2 and 3 of the NFL draft took place. We know about Caleb Banks, which we're going to hear from him later this hour, too. But we got some very interesting selections. 8 new Vikings players courtesy of the draft, plus 19 UDFAs. And we're going to have some conversation, I believe, on that around the corner.
And we say goodbye to game changer Jonathan Grenard. That's all part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list. Some deep diving on the draft. Next segment. And Pete Bursich, analyst for the Vikings Audio Network, joins about 10:20 to offer his thoughts. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Vikings draft thought when we return. But first, the cash thing.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword is coin. Enter the keyword coin at KFAN.com. The keyword is coin at KFAN.com.
The first to the last, Here are the guys the Minnesota Vikings selected Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Talkbacks on all of this tomorrow on the newfangled Talkback Talker Tuesday. But for now, first round pick, 18th overall, Caleb Banks, defensive tackle, Florida. He's been talked out. After that, 49th, Jake Golday, linebacker, Cincinnati. Think Andrew Van Ginkel, 6'4", 240. Round 3, Dominic Orange, defensive tackle. He's a beefeater. Flores was with Vince Wilfork in New England. Now, Orange is not as big or as accomplished as Wilfork, but perhaps the same theory and or philosophy is in play there. Think Casey Hampton, too. After that, 97th overall pick, Caleb Tiernan, a tackle from Northwestern, with Blake Brandel, assuming full-time center responsibilities. Tiernan is a position flexibility guy. Round 3, pick 98, Jacoby Thomas, safety, Miami. The prediction here is he starts and he plays a lot. Round 5, 159, Max Bredesen, fullback, hybrid, deep tight end draft. We got one. More 13 personnel potentially, with that meaning one tailback, 3 tight ends with the likes of Hawkinson and Oliver. Only time will tell Davey when it comes to Bredesen. Round 5, pick 163, Charles Demings, Stephen F. Austin. He's a cornerback. Rogers, Murphy, and Pierre still play the most in my estimation. Round 6, pick 198, Damon Claiborne, a speedster, a running back from Wake Forest. Here's what Alec Lewis wrote several days before the draft about Damon Claiborne. He was all steamed up. This is good work by Alec here. Quote, "It's not too outlandish to call Claiborne a lighter version of Miami Dolphins running back Devon Achane or Detroit Lions ball carrier Jahmyr Gibbs." He has a rare giddy-up with every touch. He has the potential to take it to the house. The Vikings might need a more reliable back than a true weapon, but Claiborne would add a tantalizing dimension to the run game. Now, that's from The Athletic and theathletic.com. Claiborne is 5'10", so is Kyler Murray. Miles Price also 5'9". There just has to be a package with those 3 in the game and the Michigan tight end that for now we'll call Newcheck. The Michigan rookie with some Kyle Juszczyk to him, paving the way for all that speed and toy soldier stature.
I always love that one.
By the way, with Damon Claiborne, I didn't realize this until I went deep diving this weekend. He had to deal, when he was at Wake Forest, he had to deal with death threats at the end of the 2025 season. And the story indicates in a game against Duke, Damon had 58 rushing yards without a touchdown. However, it drew massive ire when he had a couple of fumbles that were instrumental in ultimately leading to Duke winning 49-32. Damon Claiborne and his family received multiple death threats after that game. And 9 to Noon is quite sure that that had nothing to do with game bets or props. Probably just upset at the 17-point loss, right?
I always love that one.
So that he has that in his cachet. Holy cow. 7th round, pick 235, Gavin Gerhardt. He's a center from Cincinnati. Feeling a few talkbacks coming our way with the center of attention topic. That'll be tomorrow on the Talkback Talker Tuesday, I believe, with a prize. And a 9 to Noon is prepared. Now, the A topic with the team, at least my estimation, is they traded edge rusher Jonathan Grenard.
Yeah.
Got a couple of thirds from Philadelphia. Grenard was at the Sixers playoff game the night he was traded. And he was there with Eagles security heavy Big Dom, who was right there with him. Big Dom. The one on the sideline was Sirianni, who got in trouble a couple of years ago, maybe even suspended. So that just that indicates that there was some fait accompli to this entire situation that we'd heard about for weeks, if not months. Guess it had to happen. For sure, it can be argued when healthy, Jonathan Grenard was the best player on the Minnesota Vikings defense, and he was traded. Now, his agent is Drew Rosenhaus, so perhaps a solid can be done here. Stand by for that momentarily. Rob Brzezinski is the acting general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, and he had a very pointed, a very poignant, and a direct quote following the Jonathan Grenard trade. Briz said, quote, "He's an impact player. It's something we understand is not making the Minnesota Vikings a better team today." I mean, you never hear that. We understand it's not making the Vikings a better team today, but there's a lot of factors involved, and particularly with the economics, where we were able to reach a resolution that made sense for the Vikings. We're going to miss him. We're happy he was able to get himself a new contract, but this is not something we're jumping around excitedly about. We did feel like it was the best thing for the organization moving forward. Talk back Tuesday tomorrow. I would imagine that makes the mix. No Jonathan Grenard. It's so sad.
No, it stinks. And in his 2 years here, how productive he was, how he endeared himself, not just to the fan base, but again, the on-field productivity. Now, light on sacks a year ago, gets nicked up.
Yeah.
But he truly was the force of that defense. And so missing him, and you know, we were just kind of a little fodder on Friday night doing the show. It's just what did you want in currency and how this whole thing was going to work out, the leverage that I think Grenard and any team that was suiting or courting him, I should say.
That kind of had us.
They kind of had us. And I think even paraphrasing that's a great quote from Brzezinski, but I think there was even kind of a concession, like Brzezinski saying effectively, yeah, I mean, we just can't. We got to stop paying.
Yep.
we got to turn the spigot off a little bit on some of these contracts.
Yep.
And so at no point were we going to be able to offer the, what was it, 4-year extension? I think it's $100 million, 50 of it's guaranteed. We just couldn't do it. And so no, moving forward without Grenard does not make the football team any better. And so true honesty and just kind of laying it out there was Briz. It stinks, man. And but we're going to get to know about Mr. Golday. We're going to get to know a lot about Flores and this defense in the coming months. Pumped about that.
Well, perhaps we get to know about a free agent wide receiver named Jawan Jennings, because we now have money for him. If they're so inclined.
That's part of it, too. I think we saved 12 and a quarter this year, and then maybe another 12 and change, something like that next year as well.
Jawan Jennings, former Niner, has been a 9 to noon common thread pretty much since late January, early February. Then we caught wind at the combine of his financial requests, outlandish as some think they may be, and perhaps they have come down. Nevertheless, that's what he and his representation want. So it's up to teams to work around it. I mentioned earlier, Drew Rosenhaus represents Jonathan Grenard. He also represents wide receiver Jawan Jennings. And
great.
This player is, well, there could be a solid being done here, because Minnesota could have told Drew and Grenard, now here's the deal. He's good. We want him. He stays and finishes out the deal. Then we deal with it.
Oh.
So the Vikings didn't have to do what they did. Now, unless they know Grenard, which I think would be antithetical to his character, but I could be wrong, because it is business, where, you know, maybe it was going to be, all right, cool, if you're going to act like that and do that, I'm not coming to training camp and I'm not playing. And then it would be okay, well, at your age and at this stage of your career, go ahead and sit out a season. And if you think that's going to, so just the shoe size contest and the tit for the tat and the back and forth and everything, it was smart of the Vikings to get what they could and avoid that. But do know they did not have to do that. So in a roundabout way, they did Grenard and Rosenhaus a solid. So I don't know, man. Maybe Drew gets Jawan Jennings to do the Minnesota Vikings a solid. He's so perfect for an offense like Minnesota's. The minute Minnesota moved for Kyler Murray, that's like the first thing I got loud about is, all right, well, if Naylor's going to leave, Jennings catches, blocks, he can throw, and he's a really, really good team leader if you follow what he did with the San Francisco 49ers, specifically when Debo was hurt and Brandon Ayuk went pear-shaped. So maybe now Jennings and Rosenhaus, and the Vikings can find common ground after doing Rosenhaus's guy, Jonathan Grenard, an absolute solid. Maybe a solid has been done here. I mean, we don't make life like if I'm in that building, I'd be like, we're not going to make life difficult for Jonathan, and maybe you get us on the flip side one way or another. I don't know. Might be spitballing.
Maybe. I think part of precipitating the move now was to get equity in 2026 versus equity in 2027 as well. Now, as the deal played out, they get the third that they used Friday night. I think that was the Jacoby Thomas pick, ultimately, the Miami safety, which I'm pumped about. Looks like a hitter. Right. Thomas does. We'll learn more, of course. But then they get the third in 2027 as well. Again, there was a little bit of weeping and gnashing of teeth. I was kind of thinking as you saw those rumors pop up on Thursday, it's like, whoa, Philly potentially going to take Renard. 23rd overall. That sounds like a lot. But then on Friday night, I'm thinking, I think they were at 54, somewhere in that area. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this would probably start to be around the time if it's going to happen. Yep. So in the end, they take, of course, Jake Golday at 51, and then we hear about the trade maybe 15, 20 minutes later. So how they did it, why they did it, the doing of a solid, however it works out. We do have some cash in our pocket for a wide receiver, which I think I don't want to say desperately need. We have Addison and Jefferson, but that third wide out spot, somebody contribute physical presence. I would love to see that added to the mix.
The what 9 to Noon was sharing last week is the belief the Minnesota Vikings wanted five players in the top 100. And when we were saying that, they only had 4 picks. They ended up with 5. And also the belief is that they will want 3 or 4, preferably all 5, but 3 or 4 to play right now and help immediately. Yeah. So with the Northwestern offensive lineman, it's clear the relief they got there, because that was the wild card for me. I'd never heard of the guy, and I just had no idea. You know, he was a high selection too.
Well, and suddenly everyone was freaking out when it was picked. I'm thinking I had been wanting a center so badly, right? And I think this kind of tells you maybe what they thought of the Sam Hex and the Connor Lews, that they make this decision at pick 97.
Yeah.
But then suddenly everyone's like, oh, you couldn't believe the steal the Vikings got. This guy was 47 slots higher on the board, potential first-round equity, that whole thing. So apparently this Tiernan cat, mammoth of a man, he can get stuff off the top shelf at 6'8". That's where they went.
So what do you get there? You get clear relief, what they deem to be solid backup relief for Darisaw and/or O'Neal. And it's just clear Blake Brandel is transitioning to full-time center. Yeah. And like no guard, all center.
He's our center.
Iowa State defensive tackle, Big Citrus, the cat from Iowa State. It's clear he's a run stuffer. Does this and does like having Orange and Banks free Jalen Redmond for more sacks? Because they've gotten themselves deep on the defensive line with the likes of Levi Drake Rodriguez, Caleb Banks, Jalen Redmond, Big Citrus guy, and Tyrion Ingram Dawkins into his second year, and he got good at the end of the year. So it's hard to predict what Flores is going to do with players when they draft a Cincinnati linebacker the guy plays in the box. He plays out of the slot, not necessarily covering slot receivers, but just think Van Ginkel in the route jumping. Yeah. And he also plays on the line. So
he's kind of had an eclectic career, hasn't he? I mean, as a D-end in this defense, and then he's playing off-ball linebacker and some 3-3-5, et cetera, et cetera. He's had a very versatile career in college.
Van Ginkel, 6'4", 240. Golday, 6'4", 240. And multifaceted Swiss Army knife terrorism here, plays all over the place. Clearly, Flores loved him to take him where he was selected. 4 of the 5 playing right away. My question initially would be, and I'm going to ask Pete Bursich this, how are they going to use Golday? I think that's imperative to at least figure that out before training camp. So 4 of the 5 playing right away: Big Citrus, Banks, the Kane, the Michigan tight end, and Claiborne. So like those 5 right there, I envision them being on the active roster and playing. Let's go Dallas Turner. To whom much is given, much is expected. And Dallas Turner will get the most NFL reps he's ever had in his career. I also want to figure out why the Cane went in the third round. Like, what are the liabilities? The highlights are terrific. And finally, Vikings interim general manager Rob Brzezinski on the draft said, quote, this wasn't intended to be a defensive day. And I think he said that after Friday. This wasn't intended to be a defensive day. That's how the board felt. There were opportunities to take offensive players, and the board went in a different direction. We just continued to follow our process, and we're really happy. They truly are really happy with the way things developed over the weekend. I think they're happy with the way the process went and a different form of rookie selecting discipline being in play. Feels like Brian Flores absolutely had a big say in the equation. But when they say they're really happy, they are truly happy with the players they got. 948, one of them is Caleb Banks, 18th overall on Thursday. I had an opportunity to sit down with the former Gator and chat for a little bit, and that's next on KFAN. Courtesy of the Vikings Entertainment Network, I had the opportunity late last week to meet new defensive tackle Caleb Banks. Sat down in the TV studio and started with the 6'6", 327-pound former Gator, wondering why he wanted to be a Minnesota Viking so badly.
Honestly, just all around the people in the building. You know what I mean? Everybody here is great people. I'm a people person. So once I get that connection, you know what I mean? I just want to be around them all the time. So felt that off the rip. And I'm like, let's do it. You know what I mean?
And you know, once they got to 18, you know, and you did you have a good idea you'd go in the first round, or was it kind of weird because of what everybody was writing and saying and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really listen to it. You know, you see it, but I really try not to listen to that because some people really don't know anything. You know what I mean? But my agent called me. He was like, "It's a chance it could happen. It's a chance it might not happen." So I was prepared for it to happen and for it not to happen. You know what I mean? Mentally there.
Now, when the picks are falling up to 18,
yeah,
and you probably had a pretty good idea that the Minnesota Vikings were really interested in you, specifically after defensive line coach Ryan Nielsen came down to Florida to sit down with you and talk to you.
Yes, sir.
But there are no promises, as you kind of just said. So as the picks were falling, how are you handling it? Like, is it a nerve-wracking experience?
It is, but I was more so excited for the guys that was getting picked. You know what I mean? Some of the guys I was at the Senior Bowl with, some of them I trained with. I think four A1 athletes, A1 athletes, first athletes went, I think top 10. Oh. And that was pretty dope. You know what I mean? Seeing on them boys live their dreams. I was really excited for them. So it was kind of like just watching that, like watching them, you know, be successful. I'm like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Congratulations. It really wasn't oh man, like, am I going to get picked? You know what I mean? So it was a great moment.
Well, that's awesome. And number 95, is
sir.
that what you're going to wear here?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why 95?
I don't know. They asked me, you got four numbers to pick from. I just said, just give me 95.
Well, I mean,
just give me 95.
You know how the process works.
Absolutely.
Like, if there's a number you feel like you have to have, unless it's retired or unless it's in the Ring of Honor or whatever, you know, there are ways to get that number.
Absolutely.
So 95 is going to be the number, and you feel good about it?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. How tired are you, quite honestly, of doctors and trainers poking and prodding at your feet and messing with your feet?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I'm used to it, but I mean, it's happened a couple times. You know, they got to do their job. So, you know what I mean? I let them do their job. You can go ahead and look at it. Everything's good.
Right.
We're good to go.
This facility, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, it's considered one of the very best, if not the very best in the NFL.
I haven't seen anything better.
What do you think? I mean,
It's beautiful.
This is going to be home for you pretty
Yes,
much
sir.
from, I don't know, rookie camp through mini camp, then you get a little break, then you get training camp in the season.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you've seen of it yet, but what do you think? What do you like?
I mean, honestly, it's beautiful, man. The purple and gold, seeing it everywhere. I can't turn my head, I see it there. Turn my head, I see it there, man. And it's honestly it's beautiful. You know what I mean? I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to get to work, man.
So playing for the Gators and, you know, playing a certain team that wears purple and gold.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be a little strange for you, right? To be bragging about purple and gold, you know, when you might have LSU on your mind for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, You got me there.
Well, we got Justin Jefferson, too. So you got to remember that.
Yeah.
So you got to show respect, to that former Purple.
Yeah, I'm gonna just turn on a few clips from 24, man. When we was going to get some and 25.
Oh, that's great. As a 6'6" defensive lineman, when everything's healthy and happy, what advantages does your size generally give you against offensive linemen, say centers and guards?
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, what advantages do you have because of the gifts God has given you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's really just my athleticism. I think not a lot of guys have that. I feel like I'm kind of like a jack of all trades. I'm one-on-one. You know what I mean? I'm different. I can move in different ways. I got a lot of tools where I can beat you, and you never know what's coming. So it's kind of random.
Well, I mean, you say you're a jack of all trades, specifically one-on-one, and that's absolutely true. And if you weren't, you wouldn't have been drafted in the first round. But in watching back some of your plays from 2024, I mean, honestly, there aren't a lot of one-on-ones.
Yeah.
So going to the NFL against people who've been in the league for a while, grown men, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Do you expect that, or you kind of have to earn the right to be, as frustrating as being doubled can be, when you earn the right, that kind of indicates that you belong, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's just going to take a lot of hard work. Put my head down and coming in and being a sponge and learning from the vets, learning how to, take on those blocks or learning what I should expect in the game. So that's my goal. It's my ultimate goal, coming in and just working so I can get to that point.
From when you went to high school outside of Detroit, from then to where you are now, including the first round draft process, how has your family been instrumental to you during the whole way?
Yeah, man, they just been really supportive. They're happy, and it's like they got drafted too. You know what I mean? They're really excited for me, and it's like a dream come true for me. You know what I mean? I honestly didn't think I would be in this situation, to be in these, in these shoes, and God put me here. So I'm blessed to be here, and I'm gonna take I'm gonna take all advantage of it, you know what I mean? I'm taking a run with it. So
your brothers are quite good at basketball, correct?
Yeah, they used to hoop. Yep.
Yeah. So why didn't you follow in their footsteps, especially at 6'6"?
Yeah. Man, I was aggressive, too aggressive.
Yeah, shocker. I've watched your highlights. I mean, there was a personal protector on an LSU punt play. You may remember this.
Jack Piper.
I don't know the guy's name.
Yeah,
holy cow! You knocked him into next week.
Yeah, it was a little personal too. He actually seen me at the Senior Bowl. He seen me at the combine. He was like, "Man, why'd you do that, bro?"
Right.
I'm like, "Bro, I had to, bro. You want to leave us? Like, you want to go there out of all places?" Okay. So
you're naturally aggressive, which works in basketball.
Yeah, and I'm competitive, so I'm gonna get after it. And I wanted to do something different. You know what I mean? I stuck behind my mom back to play football, and ever since then, it's been history. It's been a dream come true for me.
So when did you know, whether it's full speed on that punt coverage team when you were a Gator, or playing defensive line with running backs, quarterbacks, horizontally, vertically, or whatever, when did you know that you like to run fast and hit people?
I mean, it all started really in high school when I first started playing. Just like it was just fun to me. You know what I mean? It's like being able to physically oppose my will on somebody else and not get in trouble for it. So I think that's really the best part of it.
Now, the defensive coordinator here for the Minnesota Vikings, Brian Flores, super well respected. What do you know as of now about Brian? And it's very early in the process, but his expectations for defensive linemen with all these tricks he has up his sleeve.
Yeah, he just told me to come in and put my head down. We're gonna get to that point when we get there, but he really want me to work right now. Work my tail off. So I can get back healthy, fully healthy, and be out there to go to dominate. And be there for the guys. So. But he told me I could play anywhere on that defensive line, man. So it's kind of, it's going to be fun.
At your press conference, you mentioned your adoration, your desire to own, and your love for animals.
Absolutely.
So then I'm, thinking like, all right, what's he going to say about Fido? What's he going to say about Spot? How many kitties does he have? Well, then you hit us with a couple of pythons.
Yeah.
This super aggressive looking dog. What's it called?
Cane Corso.
Holy cow, that's the chest. And that you hope to advance your animal loving life to owning a tarantula.
Yeah.
Like a tarantula, right?
Yeah, little spider. Yeah, man.
How do you play with a tarantula?
No, you can't. That's the thing. You can't really play with it.
They need to be stimulated too.
I don't know. I got a big love for animals, man. Ever since I was younger, I fell in love with them. I just wanted to, know everything about them.
Wow.
Wanted to be a zoologist, but I really didn't have the time because of football. So it was a little bit different for me. But once I got my first snake, I was like, okay. They said you're gonna get another one. I'm like, nah, I might just get one. went and got another one, and then I went and got another one.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man. I got a chameleon. Plan on getting a few more lizards.
Lizards?
Lizards.
Oh, lizards.
Yeah,
Okay. Like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I love chameleons though. The way how they express themselves too. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful. You know?
So I mean, like, what do you do with pythons? Do you roll around with them? Can you play? Like, do they get to know you?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
they know, hey, Caleb's the owner. He has the food.
Yeah.
We have to be nice to Caleb. I mean,
Yeah.
are snakes like that?
They have different personalities. So some snakes are a little bit more aggressive than others. I have 2-ball pythons, so they're a little bit less aggressive. They're like more of a starter snake pet, I would say. But they're wonderful though. They're wonderful. They're 2 females, and they're beautiful. They have beautiful coats. They're very nice. You know, when they see their food, they're gonna attack the food. They ain't attacked me yet.
What is their
food?
food?
They eat like rats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, last one here, I promise. This is
No, you're
just
all good, man.
fascinating.
You're good.
Holy cow. So with the pythons, and given you played in Gainesville, which is in Florida.
Yeah.
You ever think of taking those pythons down to like some water area and look around, see if any alligators are there, and just like let them go at each other and see what happens?
I don't think my pythons will make it through with some alligators.
Well, but it's their version of the combine.
But I don't think I'd come back home with them. I'd probably come home with an alligator at that point. So
you're fantastic.
Thank you.
God bless
Yes,
you and
God
your
bless
family,
you.
man.
Thank you.
I can't wait to call your games.
Absolutely.
And it's a dream come true for you and your family, and
Yes, sir.
well deserved.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Caleb Banks, first round pick, 2026, by the Minnesota Vikings. Quickly here, Nordo. He picked, I want to credit Steve Colby, who sent me a tweet during that chat. Thank you very much, Steve Colby. Caleb Banks selected number 95. What prominent defensive lineman also wears 95?
Chris Jones.
Hey, working 9 to 5. Thank you, Caleb, and thank you, Minnesota Vikings, for that opportunity. To the Wild with Pat Micheletti.